Jake Sullivan stood in the center of the massive chamber and felt the weight of 47 alien species staring down at him. The Galactic Council hall stretched up so high that he could barely see the ceiling. Rows of seats curved around him, in a perfect circle, each one filled with creatures that looked like they belonged in nightmares or dreams. He wore his best uniform, the dark blue fabric pressed and clean. The golden stars on his shoulders caught the strange purple light that filled the room. Behind him sat Lisa Morgan and Ryan Carter, the only other humans allowed to witness this moment. Lisa kept checking her tablet, her fingers moving quickly across the screen. Ryan sat perfectly still, his jaw tight with anger. "Admiral Sullivan of Earth," said a voice that sounded like rocks grinding together. The speaker was Counselor Vex Thigh, a creature that looked like a giant snake with arms. His scales shimmered green and black under the lights. "You stand accused of crimes against the sacred equilibrium doctrine." Jake had practiced this moment for weeks. He knew exactly what he wanted to say. But looking up at all those alien faces, some with too many eyes, others with none at all, he felt his mouth go dry. "Honored counselors," he began, his voice echoing in the vast space. "Humanity stands ready to answer these charges. But first we ask that you remember what we have given to this galaxy." A sound like breaking glass came from the Christine delegation. Jake had learned that this meant laughter, though it did not sound funny to human ears. Several other species made their own versions of dismissive noises. Vexathai raised one scaled hand for silence. "You may present your defense, human, but know that this council has already heard much about your species and your activities." Jake activated the hologram projector in his hand. The air above him filled with images of human achievements. Ships flying between stars, humans working alongside aliens on space stations, peaceful meetings between species that had been at war for centuries. 3 years ago, Jake said, the Mortani and the Kelros had been fighting for 50 years. Their war threatened to destroy 2 entire star systems. Human diplomats helped them find peace. Today, they trade with each other and share scientific knowledge. The hologram showed mining operations on dead worlds, turning them into gardens. It showed human doctors working to cure diseases that had plagued alien species for generations. It showed human engineers building bridges across impossible distances. The Zephyrian Empire said it was impossible to build a space station in the Gamma Nebula, Jake continued. Human engineers not only built it, but they built it in half the time and for half the cost. That station now serves as a hub for 6 different species. Lisa stood up and activated her own projector. Charts and graphs filled the air, showing data that would have made most humans dizzy. But Jake knew that several species in the council were even more obsessed with numbers than humans were. "In the past 10 years, Lisa said, human exploration has discovered 43 new worlds suitable for life. We have shared the location of every single one with the Council. Human scientists have developed 17 new medical treatments, all of which have been freely given to any species that needed them. Human farmers have increased food production on 16 different worlds." The chamber remained silent. Jake could not tell if this was good or bad. Some aliens had faces that humans could read, but others were like looking at rocks or clouds. Ryan stood up next. As a ship captain, he had spent more time with aliens than most humans. He knew how to read the subtle signs that meant danger. "Something is wrong," he whispered to Jake. "Look at the Zephyrian section. They are not even pretending to listen." Jake glanced over and saw that Ryan was right. The snake-like aliens were having quiet conversations among themselves. A few were even looking at small screens instead of paying attention to the human presentation. "Counselors," Jake said, raising his voice, "are there specific charges you would like us to address?" Vexathai's eyes, which were solid black and the size of dinner plates, focused on Jake. "Admiral Sullivan, your species stands accused of unauthorized expansion into protected space sectors. We have filed proper exploration requests for every system we have entered, Lisa said quickly. All of our colonies are in sectors marked as open for development. You stand accused of interference with primitive civilizations, Vexthai continued as if Lisa had not spoken. We follow the first contact protocol exactly as written, Jake replied. Every contact with a new species has been reported to this council within the required time frame, and you stand accused of violation of the sacred equilibrium doctrine. This was the charge that confused Jake the most. He had read the doctrine many times, and it seemed to be mostly about maintaining balance between different species and their territories. Humans had been careful to avoid taking more than their fair share of anything. Counselor Vexthai, Jake said, could you explain how humanity has violated this doctrine? We have taken great care to follow all council guidelines. The giant snake leaned forward in his seat. Admiral, your species has been in council space for less than 50 years. In that time, you have expanded to over 60 star systems. You have developed new technologies at a rate that other species find disturbing. You have shown an ability to adapt to any environment and solve any problem. Jake felt his heart sink. He was beginning to understand what this was really about. Counselor, he said slowly, are we being punished for being successful? You are being removed, Vexithai said, because you are a threat to the natural order of this galaxy. The words hit Jake like a physical blow. Around the chamber he could see other council members nodding their agreement. The trial had been a show. They had already decided. The vote has already been taken, Vexthai announced. By a count of 39-8, with 7 abstentions, this council finds humanity guilty of all charges. The sentence is exile. You have 7 galactic standard days to remove all human presence from council space. Lisa shot to her feet. This is insane! We have done nothing but help! You have done exactly what we feared you would do, said a voice like singing crystals. The speaker was from the Harmonic Collective, a species that Jake had always thought was friendly to humans. You have shown that you are better than us, faster than us, more creative than us. This cannot be allowed. Jake felt a cold rage building in his chest, but he forced his voice to stay calm. So this is what galactic civilization has become, mediocrity protected by law. You may see it that way, Vexthai said. We see it as survival. Jake looked around. The chamber one more time. 47 species, and most of them were afraid of one. Not because humans had threatened them or attacked them, but because humans had dared to be excellent. Very well, Jake said. Humanity accepts your sentence. We will leave your space as ordered. He started to turn away, then stopped and looked back at Vexthai. But, Counselor, I want you to remember this moment. You think you are casting us out, but you are setting us free. Humanity does not need your counsel or your protection. We will find our own way among the stars. And when we do, you will realize what you have lost. As the 3 humans walked toward the exit, Jake's communicator buzzed. A message from Ryan's ship, the New Horizons. They had found something in the deep space regions beyond Council territory. Something amazing. Jake smiled for the first time in days. Maybe exile would not be such a bad thing after all. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USV New Horizon, but calling it standing wasn't quite right anymore. His body existed in 3 dimensions at once, while his mind reached across multiple layers of reality. Through the ship's windows, he could see impossible sights that would have driven him mad a year ago. Galaxies made of pure thought spun slowly in the distance. Crystalline structures the size of star systems grew from seeds of frozen time. Aurora that sang with voices of beings not yet born painted the dimensional void in colors that had no names. Humanity had not just survived in their pocket dimension between realities. They had evolved into something far beyond what they used to be. Dr. Lisa Grant walked over to join him, though she too moved differently now. Her consciousness existed as both a single person and as part of a larger network that connected all. 8 billion humans. She could think at the speed of light, exist in multiple places simultaneously, and see the true structure of the universe that the Council had hidden for so long. "The transformation is accelerating," she reported to Jake. "Every day, more humans are learning to manipulate fundamental forces like gravity, time, and space itself. We're becoming something that has never existed before in this universe." Jake nodded, watching a group of human children play in a nearby section of their dimensional home. The children were creating small stars with their thoughts, then sculpting them into works of art that existed in 17 dimensions at once. What would have been impossible magic a year ago was now as natural to them as breathing. But with their new abilities came a terrible responsibility. Reports from their allies in normal space painted a picture of increasing chaos and suffering across the galaxy. Dr. Kevin Hayes materialized beside them, his physical form flickering between states of matter and energy. "The latest numbers are in," he said, his voice carrying harmonics that could rewrite local physics. "The Council's empire is collapsing faster than we expected. Billions of beings are dying as the artificial systems that sustain their civilizations fail." Jake felt the weight of those numbers. The reality anchors that the Council had used to control the galaxy hadn't just limited technological and consciousness development. They had also stabilized the basic physics that many species depended on for survival. "Some species are adapting well," Lisa added. "The Korthax have learned to live with variable gravity. The Zephyrians are thriving in areas where time moves, at different speeds, but others are suffering terribly." She showed them images from the delicate worlds, where species had evolved under such controlled conditions that they couldn't handle natural cosmic radiation. Entire planets were becoming uninhabitable as their artificial protection systems failed. "The crystalline hive mind is fragmenting," Kevin reported grimly. "Without the reality anchors maintaining their quantum connections, individual crystal beings are separating from the collective consciousness. Most of them are going insane from the isolation." President Maria Santos joined their conference. Like all humans in their new realm, she existed as both a physical being and a distributed consciousness that could access the memories and knowledge of her entire species. "We have a choice to make," she announced. "The situation in normal space is getting worse every day. Some species are growing stronger and more free than they've ever been, but others are dying because they can't adapt to an uncontrolled universe." Jake studied the data streams flowing through their dimensional space. Each piece of information represented millions of lives hanging in the balance. "What are our options?" he asked. Dr. Hayes created a holographic display that showed 3 possible paths forward. Option 1. We stay here and let nature take its course. The strong will survive and evolve. The weak will die. In a few thousand years, the galaxy will stabilize with a new balance of power. The display shifted to show the cost of that choice. Hundreds of billions of dead beings. Entire civilizations wiped out. Thousands of species extinct. Option 2. We return to normal space and try to rebuild the old systems. We could restore the reality anchors and bring back the artificial stability the Council maintained. Jake shook his head. That would mean putting everyone back in chains. All the species that are finally learning to think for themselves would lose that freedom. Exactly, Hayes agreed. Which brings us to option 3. The most difficult path, but potentially the best outcome for everyone. The display changed to show something that made even evolved humans pause in amazement. We transcend our current existence entirely. We become shepherds of reality itself, guiding the galaxy's evolution while remaining hidden from normal space-time. What would that mean for us? Maria asked. We would give up our physical forms forever, Lisa explained. Become something closer to forces of nature than individual beings. we could stabilize the dangerous areas of space-time breakdown while allowing natural evolution to continue. Protect the weak without limiting the strong. The debate that followed lasted for weeks in normal time, though within their accelerated consciousness, it felt like years. Every human had a voice in the decision. Some argued for letting the galaxy find its own way. Others wanted to restore the old stability. Many favored the middle path of becoming cosmic guardians. Commander Alex Turner, who now existed as a hybrid of matter and energy, voiced the concerns many felt. If we become these cosmic shepherds, what happens to our humanity? Will we still be us, or will we become something so different that we lose what made us special in the first place? Dr. Lisa Grant had spent months studying this question. Our greatest strength was never our technology or our intelligence, she said to the assembled consciousness of humanity. It was our refusal to abandon others, even when it would be easier to look after only ourselves. The Council betrayed us because they feared our compassion would spread to other species. They were right to fear that, because compassion is indeed contagious. But they were wrong to see it as a threat. Jake Morrison thought about the journey that had brought them here. Humanity had been exiled, hunted, and marked for extinction. In response, they had broken reality itself and evolved beyond mortal comprehension. But the most human thing they could do now was to choose helping others over their own comfort and safety. The vote was close, but humanity made their choice. They would return to help heal the galaxy they had inadvertently damaged. But they would return as something new, something that had never existed before in the history of the universe. As the transformation began, Jake felt his individual consciousness starting to merge with something larger and more beautiful than he had ever imagined. His last coherent thought as a recognizable human was a simple one. They were going home. Not as conquerors or saviors, but as gardeners tending to a cosmic ecosystem they had broken and now intended to heal. The decision was made. Humanity would sacrifice their individual existence to become guardians of galactic civilization. Their evolution was about to take its final, most profound step. 1 year after the Great Silence ended, Captain Amy Foster stood on the bridge of humanity's first deep space exploration vessel as it approached the Kepler system. The ship was a marvel of combined human and alien technology, capable of traveling between stars in weeks instead of centuries. Amy looked at the tactical display showing 3 alien vessels waiting for them near the 4th planet. The Altarian Republic had invited humanity to participate in their first joint exploration mission. It was a sign of respect that would have been impossible just months earlier. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Altarian flagship," reported her communications officer. "Put it on screen," Amy ordered. The alien commander appeared on the main display. The Altarians looked like tall, slender humans with blue-tinted skin and large eyes. Unlike the warlike Zephyrians, they were scientists and explorers who valued knowledge over conquest. "Welcome, Captain Foster," the alien said in perfect English. "We are honored to work alongside the species that defeated the Zephyrian Empire. Your reputation precedes you across the galaxy." Amy smiled. "Thank you, Commander Zelek. We're looking forward to learning from your experience." Back on Earth, Dr. Sandra Williams monitored the Galactic Communication Network from the new facility in Antarctica. The massive array could now communicate with civilizations across thousands of light years in real time. Humanity was no longer isolated from galactic affairs. Sandra watched as messages flowed between Earth and dozens of alien worlds. Trade agreements, scientific exchanges, diplomatic protocols, and cultural information filled the communication channels. In 1 year, humanity had gone from hiding in caves to participating in galactic civilization. The transformation had been incredible. Human colonies were being established on 3 different worlds using captured Zephyrian technology. Earth's Population was growing rapidly as people emerged from the underground cities where they had lived during the Great Silence. New technologies were revolutionizing medicine, transportation, and communication. Major Tony Garcia walked through the streets of New Geneva, the first human city built entirely with alien technology. The buildings reached toward the sky like crystal spires powered by fusion reactors that would run for centuries without maintenance. Transportation pods moved silently through transparent tubes above the streets. Tony remembered the empty, dark cities of the Great Silence period. The contrast was amazing. Now Earth's cities were brighter and more advanced than anything humans had imagined possible. The Zephyrian technology had given humanity a shortcut to the stars. He stopped at a memorial wall dedicated to the 8 billion people who had participated in the Great Silence Protocol. Every person on Earth had sacrificed 6 months of their normal life to make victory possible. The memorial bore a simple inscription: "They gave up everything so humanity could have a future." Dr. Kevin Johnson reviewed intelligence reports from across the galaxy in his office at the new Human Intelligence Center. The information was disturbing but not unexpected. The destruction of the Zephyrian invasion fleet had created a power vacuum that other aggressive species were trying to fill. The Vorthan Collective was expanding into former Zephyrian territory. The Nexus Empire was testing human defenses with long-range probe ships. The Hive clusters were mobilizing forces near human trade routes. Earth's victory had made humanity a target for every ambitious species in the galaxy. Kevin activated his communication system and connected to the Planetary Defense Council. "This is Intelligence Center Alpha. We have confirmed reports of hostile activity in 3 sectors. Recommend immediate deployment of patrol fleets to monitor the situation." The response came within minutes. Human starships were already moving to intercept potential threats. Earth was no longer reactive to alien aggression. They were proactive, identifying and countering threats before they could develop into full invasions. Commander Ben Parker led a squadron of human warships through the asteroid belt, where the first space-based industrial facilities were being constructed. The massive factories used captured alien technology to build spacecraft, weapons, and equipment for humanity's growing space fleet. Ben watched as automated systems assembled starship components with precision that amazed even human engineers. The factories could produce a complete warship in just 2 weeks, using resources mined from asteroids and nearby planets. "Control, this is Patrol Leader. Industrial Complex 7 is operating at full capacity. Production schedules are ahead of projected timelines." The response came from the orbital command station above Earth. "Copy that, Patrol Leader. Proceed to the next inspection point. Intelligence reports possible Nexus Empire scout activity near Jupiter." Ben smiled grimly. Let them come. Humanity was no longer the helpless species that had hidden underground during the Great Silence. They now commanded one of the most powerful space fleets in the galaxy. Dr. Julie Thompson studied the latest reports from human colonies on distant worlds. The settlements were thriving beyond all expectations. Advanced alien agriculture could feed millions of people using minimal resources. Medical technology had eliminated most diseases and extended human lifespan by decades. Julie looked at population projections that showed humanity would number 50 billion people within the next century. Most would live on colony worlds throughout the galaxy, spreading human civilization to dozens of star systems. The Great Silence had saved humanity from extinction. Now advanced technology was allowing explosive growth that would make humans one of the dominant species in the galaxy within a few generations. Ambassador Rachel Moore concluded negotiations with the Centaurian Federation for a mutual defense treaty. The agreement would provide military cooperation between human and Centaurian forces against common threats like the expanding Vorthan Collective. Rachel reviewed the treaty terms with satisfaction. The Centaurians were offering to share advanced shield technology in exchange for human quantum disruption systems. Both species would benefit from the alliance. "Ambassador," her aide said, The Centaurian delegation is requesting a tour of our planetary defense systems. They want to see the technology that defeated the Zephyrians. Rachel nodded. Schedule it for next week. Make sure they understand that what they'll see is just the basic level of our capabilities. It was a diplomatic bluff, but an effective one. Humanity's reputation as the species that destroyed the Zephyrian Empire was worth more than any number of starships. Other civilizations assumed humans possessed secret weapons and advanced technology beyond what they displayed publicly. Colonel Steve Adams monitored the Galactic Threat Assessment Center from his command post in orbit around Mars. The facility tracked military movements, political developments, and potential threats across thousands of star systems. Steve watched as intelligence flowed in from human agents, alien allies, and automated monitoring stations. The galaxy was a dangerous place filled with aggressive species, ancient conflicts, and shifting alliances. But humanity was no longer powerless to defend itself. "Sir, we're detecting massive fleet movements in the Vorthon Collective," reported his intelligence officer. "They appear to be massing forces for a major offensive against former Zephyrian worlds." Steve studied the tactical display showing enemy ship positions. The Vorthons were powerful, but they had made one crucial mistake. They were moving through space controlled by human patrol fleets. "Send a message to all human commanders in that sector," Steve ordered. "Operation Silent Watch is now active. Monitor all Vorthon movements and prepare for possible intervention." The message went out instantly through the quantum communication network. Within hours, human ships would be shadowing the Vorthon fleet, ready to strike if they threatened human interests or allies. Dr. Nathan Cooper finished the final calibration of the new planetary defense grid that now protected not just Earth, but every human colony throughout the galaxy. The system could coordinate defensive actions across dozens of star systems simultaneously. Nathan looked at the master control display with pride. The network that had started as a desperate defense against Zephyrian invasion had evolved into the foundation of human galactic power. As he watched, status reports flowed in from defense installations across human space. Every world was protected, every trade route was monitored, every potential threat was tracked and analyzed. The galaxy had learned to respect humanity not through diplomacy or trade, but through strength demonstrated in battle. The species that had once hidden in silence now spoke with the authority of proven warriors. The age of human expansion was just beginning, and the galaxy would never be the same. The first Zephyrian boots touched Earth's surface at exactly 6:47 in the morning. Commander Alex Turner watched through his hidden cameras as 12 alien soldiers stepped out of their landing craft in downtown Denver. They moved slowly and carefully, but not because they expected danger. They were just being thorough in their search for valuable salvage. Alex spoke quietly into his headset. "Ground teams, this is Watcher 1. The fish are in the barrel. Repeat, the fish are in the barrel." Similar reports came in from observation posts around the world. London confirmed alien landings in Trafalgar Square. Tokyo reported enemy forces setting up equipment near the Imperial Palace. New York saw 3 transport ships landing in Central Park. Every major city on Earth now had Zephyrian forces inside the city limits. The aliens followed their standard procedures exactly as human intelligence had predicted. First, they secured landing zones. Then they sent out small teams to check nearby buildings. Finally, they would establish communication with their fleet and begin systematic looting operations. Dr. Sarah Martinez adjusted her sensors from the hidden laboratory 300 feet beneath the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Her equipment was recording everything. Every alien weapon discharge, every energy reading, every communication signal the invaders used. For 20 years, human scientists had studied crashed alien technology. They knew the basic principles behind Zephyrian shields and weapons. But seeing a full invasion force in action was giving them information they could never get from wreckage. Sarah watched her screens fill with data. The aliens used 3 different shield frequencies for their personal armor. Their weapons fired energy bursts at a specific wavelength. Their communication systems operated on predictable channels. All of this information was being shared instantly, with military units hiding throughout the city. The aliens were making this easy for them. They had grown comfortable from conquering dozens of dead worlds. They deployed without proper reconnaissance. They used standard frequencies without checking for interference. They established predictable patrol patterns. Major Katie Williams counted alien soldiers from her position in the Chicago subway tunnels. Above her, she could hear heavy footsteps as Zephyrian troops searched the empty streets. They were looking for bodies, survivors, or anything valuable they could take back to their ships. They found plenty of evidence that humans had been there recently. Warm coffee in cups, fresh food in restaurants, newspapers with yesterday's date. But they also found exactly what human planners wanted them to find: signs that disease had swept through the population quickly. The deception was perfect. Medical. Teams had spent weeks creating fake evidence of a plague. Empty hospitals with scattered medical equipment, quarantine signs posted throughout cities, even fake bodies in hazmat suits placed in strategic locations. The aliens bought the story completely. Their own records showed that 90% of primitive species destroyed themselves through war, disease, or environmental collapse. Earth appeared to be just another example. Captain Ryan Blake monitored the alien fleet from his hidden command center on the far side of the moon. The Zephyrian ships had settled into standard formation around Earth. 3 command carriers in high orbit, 12 heavy cruisers providing fire support, and over 200 smaller vessels handling landing operations. The alien formation was textbook perfect. It was also exactly what human military planners had hoped for. Every ship was positioned where Earth's hidden weapons could reach them. The aliens had walked straight into a trap they never saw coming. Ryan's own fleet remained hidden in the shadows of lunar craters and asteroid fields. 30 ships built using alien technology but improved with human engineering. The aliens expected primitives with chemical rockets. Instead, they would face vessels using fusion drives and quantum shields. Dr. Nathan Cooper made final adjustments to the Continental Defense Grid from his facility beneath the Nevada desert. The massive array looked like natural rock formations from above, but it was actually the most powerful electromagnetic weapon ever built. For 6 months, similar installations had been constructed on every continent. They were disguised as mining operations, road construction, or natural geological surveys. The aliens had no idea that humanity had turned their entire planet into a weapon. Nathan checked his countdown timer. In 4 hours, these installations would activate simultaneously. Every alien ship within Earth's atmosphere would suddenly find their electronics failing at the worst possible moment. Lieutenant Amy Foster watched alien communication traffic from the hidden facility beneath Cheyenne Mountain. The Zephyrians were using standard invasion protocols: regular check-ins with the fleet, status reports from ground teams, and supply requests from landing sites. Amy's team had been listening to these communications for hours, learning the aliens' command structure and operational procedures. They now knew which ships carried the senior officers, which facilities were most important, and exactly when the aliens planned to begin their major salvage operations. All of this intelligence was flowing to attack groups positioned around the world. When the time came to strike, humanity would know exactly where to hit for maximum effect. The aliens continued their methodical search of Earth's cities. They found empty schools, abandoned hospitals, and deserted shopping centers. Everything suggested that humans had died quickly from some kind of plague or toxic exposure. Colonel Steve Adams coordinated the Global Intelligence Network from his bunker beneath Washington, D.C. Reports were coming in from every continent. The aliens had deployed exactly as predicted. They were following standard procedures. They suspected nothing. Steve looked at the master display showing alien positions worldwide. Red dots marked enemy landing sites. Blue dots showed hidden human forces, and green dots indicated strategic weapons ready for activation. The aliens were completely surrounded and didn't know it. In 6 months of preparation, humanity had accomplished something unprecedented. 8 billion people had worked together to create the largest military deception in history. Every person on Earth had given up their normal life to make this plan work. The aliens began establishing their command posts in major cities. They chose locations that offered good communication with their fleet and easy access to transportation networks. In London, they took over Parliament. In Tokyo, they occupied the government district. In Washington, they set up equipment on the White House lawn. These locations had been carefully prepared. Hidden cameras recorded every alien movement. Concealed sensors analyzed their technology. Secret tunnels allowed human observers to get within meters of enemy positions. Dr. Julie Thompson monitored the quantum resonance field from her laboratory beneath London. The field generators were hidden throughout the city, disguised as utility equipment and construction materials. When activated, they would disrupt alien technology in ways the invaders had never experienced. The aliens had encountered quantum fields before, but only simple versions used by more advanced species. Humanity had spent 20 years improving the technology using insights from captured alien computers. The result was a weapon system that could penetrate any known shield or defense. The Zephyrians finished their initial deployment as the sun began to set. Ground teams reported that Earth appeared to be completely dead. No survivors, no resistance, no threats of any kind. The planet was ready for full-scale harvesting operations. Admiral Keth Var received these reports with satisfaction. His fleet had secured another world without firing a shot. Tomorrow they would begin stripping Earth of anything valuable before moving on to their next target. He had no idea that 8 billion humans were watching his every move, waiting for the perfect moment to spring their trap. Dr. Kevin Johnson stood in the restored NORAD command center and watched the last Zephyrian escape pod being captured by human patrol ships. 3 days had passed since the counteroffensive began, and it was finally over. The mighty alien invasion fleet had been completely destroyed or captured by the species they had come to conquer. Around the world, 8 billion humans were emerging from 6 months of hiding. Cities that had been silent and dark were suddenly alive with lights and voices. People stepped out of underground shelters, hidden bunkers, and secret facilities to reclaim their world. Kevin activated the global communication system for the first time in half a year. This is NORAD control to all stations worldwide. Operation Great Silence is officially ended. I repeat, the Great Silence Protocol is now concluded. Welcome back to the surface, everyone. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Cheers, celebrations, and relief poured through communication channels that had been silent for months. Humanity had gambled everything on one desperate plan, and it had worked beyond their wildest dreams. Captain Laura Davis walked through the secure interrogation facility beneath Denver, where captured Zephyrian officers were being questioned by teams of human scientists and military experts. The aliens were providing information willingly now, too shocked by their defeat to resist. Laura stopped at the cell, holding Admiral Kethvar himself. The alien commander sat quietly, staring at the wall with empty eyes. He had commanded fleets that conquered dozens of worlds, but he had been completely outmaneuvered by a species he considered primitive. I need to understand, Kethvar said, without looking at Laura. How did you know we were coming? How did you prepare so perfectly? Our intelligence showed that your world was dead. Laura smiled. We've been watching your species for 20 years, ever since one of your scout ships crashed in our desert. We studied your technology, learned your tactics, and prepared for this day. When our satellites detected your fleet approaching, we knew exactly what to do. The alien admiral shook his head in disbelief. Impossible. No primitive species has ever defeated a Zephyrian invasion force. We are the apex predators of this galaxy. Not anymore, Laura replied. Things have changed. Dr. Sandra Williams supervised the activation of Earth's first official interstellar communication array from the facility in Australia. The massive antenna system had been built using captured alien technology and improved with human engineering. It was powerful enough to send messages across the entire galaxy. Sandra looked at the text that would soon be broadcast to every advanced civilization within 100 light years. The message was simple but profound, written by a committee of world leaders, scientists, and military commanders. This is Earth calling. We are humanity, the third planet from the star you call Sol. We have successfully defended our world against Zephyrian invasion forces. We seek peaceful contact with other civilizations and formal recognition as a spacefaring species. We are ready to take our place in the galactic community. The message would change everything. For the first time in human history, Earth was announcing its presence to the galaxy not as victims or supplicants, but as equals who had earned their place through victory. Commander Chris Martinez addressed the emergency session of the United Nations that was being held to officially end the Great Silence Protocol. Representatives from every nation on Earth gathered to hear the final report on humanity's greatest victory. 6 months ago, we asked every person on Earth to make an incredible sacrifice, Chris began. We asked you to give up your normal lives, to live in hiding, to trust in a plan that seemed impossible. Today, I can report that your sacrifice has saved our species and secured our future. The assembly erupted in applause that lasted for several minutes. Chris waited for quiet before continuing. The Zephyrian threat has been eliminated. Their invasion fleet has been destroyed or captured. More importantly, we have gained access to technology and information that will advance human civilization by centuries. We are no longer alone in the universe, and we are no longer defenseless. General Lisa Park stood in the massive underground facility where captured alien technology was being studied by teams of scientists from around the world. Starships, weapons, computers, and devices beyond human imagination filled the huge chambers. Lisa watched as human engineers reverse-engineered alien fusion drives that could power spacecraft for decades without refueling. Scientists analyzed quantum computers that could solve problems in seconds that would take human supercomputers years to complete. Medical teams studied alien healing technology that could cure diseases and repair injuries thought impossible to treat. The technology transfer was happening faster than anyone had expected. Human scientists had spent 20 years learning the basics of alien science from crashed ships. Now they had access to complete libraries of knowledge from one of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. Captain Ryan Blake piloted the first human starship equipped with captured alien technology on its maiden voyage to the edge of the solar system. The vessel combined human engineering with Zephyrian fusion drives, quantum shields, and faster-than-light communication systems. Ryan looked at his navigation display with wonder. The ship could reach the nearest star system in just 3 months, instead of the decades it would have taken with human technology alone. Humanity was no longer trapped in its home solar system. "Control, this is Explorer 1, Ryan reported. "All systems are functioning perfectly. We are ready to begin the first human interstellar mission." The response came immediately from Earth. "Explorer 1, this is Mission Control. You are cleared for departure. Good luck, and make history." Dr. Julie Thompson monitored the quantum communication network that now connected Earth with monitoring stations throughout the solar system. The network used alien technology, but was controlled entirely by human operators. Never again would Earth be caught by surprise by approaching threats. Julie smiled as she watched the displays showing the locations of human vessels patrolling space around Earth. The planet that had once been defenseless now commanded the most advanced defensive network in this region of the galaxy. Ambassador Tony Garcia prepared for humanity's first official diplomatic contact with another alien species. The Altarian. Republic had responded to Earth's broadcast with an offer to establish formal relations. Unlike the Zephyrians, The Altarians were peaceful traders who respected strong civilizations. Tony reviewed his briefing materials one final time. The meeting would take place in neutral space, with both sides bringing minimal escort fleets. It would be humanity's debut on the galactic stage as an independent power. Remember, his advisor said, we're not the primitive species we were 6 months ago. We've proven ourselves in battle and captured advanced technology. The Altarians are coming to us as equals. Tony nodded. It was hard to believe how much had changed. 6 months ago, humanity had been hiding in fear from alien invaders. Now they were preparing to negotiate as equals with galactic civilizations. Dr. Nathan Cooper watched the final pieces of the planetary defense grid being activated around the world. The system that had helped defeat the Zephyrians was now being expanded and improved using captured alien technology. Earth would never again be vulnerable to surprise attack. Nathan looked at the status display showing defense installations on every continent in orbit around Earth and on bases throughout the solar system. Any future invaders would face the most advanced defensive network in known space. The age of easy conquests was over. The galaxy now had a new player, one that had announced its presence by defeating the species that had terrorized civilizations for centuries. Earth was no longer a target. It was a power that others would approach with respect and caution. As the sun set on Earth's first day as a recognized galactic civilization, humanity looked to the stars with confidence instead of fear. The great silence had ended, but the age of human expansion had just begun. The Zephyrian command ship in the Sahara Desert was massive, nearly half a mile long and bristling with weapons that could level entire cities. Major Tony Garcia looked at it through his binoculars and smiled grimly. Size didn't matter when your enemy couldn't see you coming. His team had been living under the desert sand for 3 months, waiting for this moment. They knew exactly where the alien ship would land because they had studied Zephyrian tactics for 20 years. The aliens always chose flat, open areas for their command centers. They thought it gave them a tactical advantage. Tony activated his communication device. Desert Storm Team to all units. Beginning assault on primary target. All teams, execute. Your plans now. Around the world, similar attacks were beginning. The human counteroffensive wasn't random or desperate. Every move had been planned, practiced, and coordinated down to the minute. The aliens were about to learn what 8 billion humans could accomplish when they worked together. The first, explosions came from underground. Human engineers had spent months digging tunnels beneath major alien landing sites. When the charges detonated, entire sections of desert collapsed, taking alien vehicles and equipment with them. The Zephyrian command ship suddenly found itself sitting in a crater with no way to take off. Captain Emma Rodriguez led her soldiers through the streets of New York with deadly precision. The aliens had lost most of their technological advantages when the electromagnetic pulse disabled their equipment. Now they were fighting on equal terms, and humans had the home field advantage. The Zephyrians tried to establish defensive positions in buildings they didn't understand, using backup equipment they weren't familiar with. Human forces attacked. From sewers, rooftops, and tunnels the aliens didn't know existed. Every street corner became a trap, every building a potential ambush site. Emma watched as alien soldiers struggled with weapons that kept malfunctioning at critical moments. The quantum disruption field made their technology unreliable, while human weapons worked perfectly. It was like watching a professional army reduced to confused amateurs. Dr. Julie Thompson monitored the cascade effect from her laboratory beneath London. The quantum field generators were working better than anyone had hoped. Not only were they disrupting alien technology, they were learning and adapting. Each time the Zephyrians tried to recalibrate their equipment, the field changed. To counter their adjustments, the aliens couldn't understand what was happening. Their shields would work for a few minutes, then suddenly fail. Their weapons would fire normally, then refuse to charge. Their communication systems would connect briefly, then go dead again. It was driving their commanders to desperation. Commander. Ben Parker coordinated the space battle from his flagship as human vessels pressed their attack against the confused alien fleet. The Zephyrians had expected to fight primitive rockets with chemical propulsion. Instead, they faced ships that moved like nothing they had ever seen before. Human tactics were completely alien to the Zephyrians. The humans used gravity slingshots to accelerate beyond what should be possible. They coordinated attacks from multiple directions simultaneously. They seemed to know exactly where alien ships would be before the aliens knew it themselves. Ben smiled as he watched another enemy cruiser explode on his tactical display. Target destroyed. All ships, advance to the next phase. Time to clean house. Major Katie Williams led her team through the Chicago Underground toward the alien supply depot. The Zephyrians had established a major logistics center in Grant Park, thinking the open area would make it easy to defend. They hadn't counted on humans attacking from below. Katie's soldiers emerged from storm drains and subway tunnels like ghosts. They moved through the alien compound with weapons specifically, designed to counter Zephyrian armor and shields. Every shot was precise, every movement calculated. The aliens tried to respond, but their equipment kept failing at the worst possible moments. Weapons jammed when they needed them most. Armor lost power during firefights. Communication systems went dead just as commanders tried to call for help. Dr. Nathan Cooper increased the power output of the Continental Defense Grid from his facility in Nevada. The electromagnetic pulse generators were working in sequence now, creating waves of disruption that rolled across the planet every few minutes. No alien device could maintain stable operation for more than a few moments. Nathan watched his energy, readings with satisfaction. The aliens were trying everything they could think of to restore their systems. They switched frequencies, rerouted power, even tried shutting down and restarting their equipment. Nothing worked for long. Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his crippled flagship, watching his invasion force disintegrate before his eyes. Half his ships were destroyed or disabled. Ground forces were being systematically eliminated. His most experienced commanders were either dead or cut off from communication. "How is this possible?" he demanded for the 100th time. "These are primitives. They barely have space flight. How are they defeating us?" His science officer looked up from a sparking console with fear in his alien eyes. "Sir, I don't think they're as primitive as we thought. Their technology is different from ours, but it's not inferior. If anything, they seem to understand our systems better than we understand theirs." Captain Rachel Moore led the boarding party onto a disabled Zephyrian battlecruiser. The ship's crew was trapped on the bridge, their escape routes blocked by human soldiers who seemed to know the ship's layout perfectly. This wasn't a coincidence. Humans had been studying captured alien vessels for 20 years. Rachel's team moved through the ship methodically, capturing key areas and downloading information from alien computers. Every piece of data would be transmitted back to Earth immediately. By the time this battle was over, humanity would know everything the Zephyrians knew about galactic civilization. The aliens fought back desperately, but their weapons were no match for human soldiers equipped with armor and shields designed specifically to counter Zephyrian technology. The boarding action was over in 30 minutes. Colonel Steve Adams coordinated the global intelligence gathering operation from his command center. Human forces weren't just destroying the invasion fleet, they were capturing it. Alien ships, weapons, computers, and prisoners were being collected for study. Steve looked at the status reports flowing in from around the world. London reported the alien command center captured intact. Tokyo had secured 3 transport ships full of advanced technology. Moscow was interrogating captured alien officers. The operation was exceeding all expectations. Dr. Sarah Martinez analyzed the captured alien databases from her laboratory. The information was incredible. Star maps showing the locations of dozens of inhabited worlds. Technology specifications for weapons and ships far beyond human capability. Most importantly, detailed records of Zephyrian military doctrine and invasion procedures. Sarah realized that humanity had just acquired enough information to change the balance of power in the galaxy. They now knew who the major players were, what technologies existed, and how galactic civilizations operated. Earth was no longer isolated and ignorant. Major Tony Garcia planted the final charges inside the Zephyrian command ship in the Sahara. The massive vessel was disabled and surrounded, its crew captured or dead. In a few minutes, the charges would detonate and ensure that no alien technology fell into the wrong hands. Tony activated his communicator one last time. Desert Storm to all units. Primary target secured. Charges set for detonation in 10 minutes. All teams clear the area. As the sun began to set on the second day of the counteroffensive, the last Zephyrian resistance collapsed. Admiral Keith Varr found himself a prisoner aboard his own flagship, watching the wreckage of his fleet drift in Earth's orbit. The mighty Zephyrian invasion force had been completely destroyed by the species they had come to enslave. Earth was no longer an easy target. It had become something far more dangerous, a world that fought back and won.